Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bryndís, and today I'm doing a reading update, my weekly reading update. Well, this one is for 2 weeks because I didn't do one last week. So I'm also just kind of rounding up the 2 reading events that I participated in February, the monthly reading events. And yeah, it was definitely February was a good reading month for me, for sure. And I had a lot of fun reading, and I'm very happy with the books that I read. So the first event that I participated in was Holmes is Where the Heart Is, which is about reading Sherlock Holmes. And there were different prompts that you could choose from. And one of them was reading the original Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And then another one was to read where Sherlock Holmes or that universe is kind of part of the story. So I those are the 2 prompts that I followed in that event. And I've already said, I think a couple of weeks ago, that I'd read I can't remember what it was called, but it's the short story where Sherlock Holmes dies, or supposedly dies. And I read that because of the book that I chose to read, the main book that I chose to read for this event. But then when I was starting to read that book, I will talk about it in a second, I realized that I actually want to also read the short story where Sherlock Holmes returns. And I have read that story before, but I kind of wanted to just have that fresh in my mind. And that is called The Adventure of the Empty House, and it is in the collection of The Return of Sherlock Holmes. I don't have that collection, that book, short story collection. It's definitely on my list of books that I would like to have in my on my shelves somewhere there. There I do have the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, which are short story collections. So, but I don't have The Return. And so I read The Adventure of the Empty House, which is basically when Watson discovers that Sherlock Holmes actually isn't dead, and that he hasn't been dead for these last 3 years, although he has let Watson think that he was dead. And it was really interesting. I mean, I enjoy the Sherlock Holmes universe. I enjoy the Sherlock Holmes stories. I enjoyed most of the novels, in various degrees for sure. But I always think it's really funny that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is not very good necessarily in engaging your emotions. Because I like to read books that really do kind of engage your emotions. And even sometimes Agatha Christie did that. Not always, definitely, but sometimes there were little tidbits in there with Poirot or Miss Marple or the other books where you were like, yes, some couple of tears or whatever. But in Sherlock Holmes, no. That's not one of Arthur Conan Doyle's strengths, for sure. I love his books, I love his stories, but yeah, they are very interesting. And it was hilarious that, oh, hi Watson, I'm not dead. Oh, I thought you were dead. My best friend that I love very much. You made me believe for 3 years that you were dead, but you're not dead. Oh, okay. Like, it was basically it. Which I think is very funny. I watched probably all, at least in the last 40 years, adaptations of Sherlock Holmes, movies and TV series. And I think my favorite is probably the BBC one with Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch. I think that one is really, really well done. And in that series, when that happens and Watson sees Sherlock Holmes again, that's how you would probably react if you're a human being and your best friend has pretended to be dead for 3 years. And that's definitely not in the original. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting. But yeah, it was an interesting story about this young lord who is found dead in a locked room, basically. It's like, how did he die in this locked room if it wasn't suicide? So, it was very interesting. 4 stars. Like, I think most of Sherlock Holmes I've given 4 stars. They are, I really enjoy them, but they're not like my favorite. But like I said, I really enjoy it. And I think that he did, like Arthur Conan Doyle did the mystery and the solving of the mystery really well, although sometimes it was Sherlock Holmes was just too smart, like nobody's gonna figure that out, kind of a thing. But I wanted to read that book because the main book for this event was Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz. And I've been wanting to read this book for a while. I read one of his books 2 years ago, I think, which was in his series that is called, I think, Hawthorne and Horowitz. And I really enjoyed that. But so I wanted to read Moriarty. And like the majority of the book was really good. I really enjoyed the characters. So in this book there is a American kind of private detective. He works for this detective agency who comes to London to look for this American criminal who had gone to London as well, and who they thought was a collaborator with Moriarty. I don't know, I don't remember exactly how they were. I forget these things immediately, but yeah, so this detective comes to London in search of this guy, and he gets in contact with one of the detectives at Scotland Yard, which now I can't remember the name. Okay, so the American detective is Detective Chase, or private detective, and then the Scotland Yard detective is Jones. And they kind of form an alliance and are looking for this American criminal. And so this takes place basically immediately after the supposed death of Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes. Chase goes to Switzerland, to the fall. I think, was it Switzerland? I think it was in Switzerland rather than Austria. The falls where they kind of supposedly died. But most of it takes place in London, so it's very shortly after when Sherlock Holmes has disappeared. And so they are just kind of searching for this criminal. And it's really interesting. Jones, the Scotland Yard detective, has really been studying the methods of Sherlock Holmes, so he's kind of become almost like a Sherlock Holmes character, so that's pretty cool. And there are a lot of things in this story that are fun, very interesting, and it's interesting to see the kind of perspective of the American detective in London. There's definitely more emotional engagement in this book than in Arthur Conan Doyle's books. And it's also much more brutal. There's violence for sure in Sherlock Holmes, but it's not really obvious necessarily. But here you can, it's very somewhat, or very actually sometimes very brutal and in your face type of violence. But I really liked it. But then the ending, so this might become a spoiler, but the ending was so disappointing. We had been building up such a fantastic suspense and this relationship between Chase and Jones, and then the climax of the story is just fantastic, and then the next chapter is just like, I was very disappointed. I thought it was rushed and just very taking the easy way out. I had like some inkling about that one of the characters wasn't necessarily who they said they were, but the way it played out was just, this was going to be like a 5-star read because I was really enjoying it, and I thought it was, I really like Anthony Horowitz and his kind of tone and his writing, and like he was doing it really well. But then the ending so it ended up being a 3-star for me. Very annoying. And I'm honestly not sure if I want to read any more. I mean, I think I want to read more of his Hawthorne and Horowitz series. And obviously he's written some other stuff, I think. But I don't know if I want to read more of his Sherlock Holmes stuff because, I don't know, maybe I should maybe I'm being too harsh. I don't know, we'll see. But I was very disappointed with the ending. The other event that I took part in February was Regency February. And basically the premise there is just to read a book published in the extended Regency period, which is from 1795 until 1839. And I read Camilla by Francis Burney. I read it as an audiobook. And it's lovely and delightful and just absolutely fantastic. Now this is a huge book. The Oxford edition is like, let me see, like almost 1,000 pages or something. Explanatory notes. 913 pages. So this is a mammoth, but I did read it in February. And the audiobook was fantastic. If I remember, I will put the name of the narrator below. So it's interesting because there were parts that at one point I was very annoyed, especially with the character Edgar, yeah, who is kind of the love interest of Camilla, because I thought he was just being this stupid guy looking for things to criticize Camilla with, and nothing Camilla did was right, and everything she did he looked at through this suspicion. You know, if someone grabbed her hand to say they loved her, it was like, why would she allow him to do that? Like as if she actually had any choice or like had any control over that. But he was being advised by this very kind of what's the word, this guy who had been very much disappointed in love. So he was not getting a very good advice in regard to her, how to understand her behavior. But I forgave Edgar and forgave Francis Burney for making him so annoying. This is such a good book. Oh, I love Francis Burney. So this is the second book of hers that I read. The other one is Evelina. I think she has at least one, if not two, other books that are called by like a female name. Can't remember them at the moment, but I'm definitely going to read them. And I mean, I think I don't know if it needed to be this long, but I never felt bored. I felt annoyed sometimes. And I felt like, you know, thank God I wasn't alive then, you know. But I think it's a really good, I think it really kind of shows the extreme, how, I mean, it must have been so difficult if you loved someone, because if you're a woman or a girl, like a young woman, you are not allowed to show them that you like them, because then you are like a disgraced woman. But how then is he supposed to know that you like him? And if he so you would have to be, like, no wonder there were just all these arranged marriages, because how else were you supposed to get married? Like, very complicated times for sure. But I really liked it, and I think the story is really fun, and there are like all these different tangents of how things were happening, and things were going really wrong, and then they went like got fixed, and it went well, and you were like, oh my God, they're never gonna end up together. But then, you know, obviously it's a romance. Things did work out for everybody, and it was just so lovely. It's really well written. I don't know. I don't think that this was difficult to read at all, given that it was written in the 18th century. And you could really relate with the characters. It's very emotionally engaging. I cried my eyes out at parts there. I mean, it's really melodramatic. And I think that, I don't know if at this time sensation novels were a thing. I know that they were more of a thing maybe in the Victorian period, but I would think this is a sensation novel. Like the drama, the melodrama it's like a soap opera. You know, Bridgerton has nothing in this, like, but it's really interesting that here they are talking about the ton. So, and you know, the ton, and there was something else as well that they talked about. That I was like, oh, yes, I think somewhere she's like, oh, gentle reader or something like that, which I know that the Bridgerton, I don't know if it's from Julia Quinn or from Shondaland, but they did take that from the novels of the time. So that's not something that they made up. It's from like, yes, but she did say something, oh, gentle reader or something like that. Dearest reader or dearest gentle reader. So I thought that was kind of fun. And just the talking about the ton and how you like, because Camilla did not belong to the people who were of the ton, who were of high society. She was one like level below that. But they would go to these balls where people of the ton were there. And oh, they heard of the ton. And then you would be there. And, you know, so there was some interactions for sure, but yeah, it was just very lovely. I really, really enjoyed it. And then another book, the fourth book, or like if you call the short story, Sherlock Holmes story a book, the fourth book that I finished in February, or last week actually, is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. Finally finished it. It took me a very long time to read this not that long book, because this is just not my type of book. I'm thinking that this is literary fiction, if I'm correct. And this is not a bad book. This is a really good book. Like the writing, I like the format that she does. Like she puts like emails into like the book, and I like the fact that it takes place in Dublin because I used to live there, and it was very, very lovely. And there are a lot of parts about the story that are really interesting, like how she gets diagnosed with endometriosis and the callousness of doctors, especially male doctors. Yeah, you have endometriosis. You might not be able to have children, but to a 21-year-old, it's very cruel. But I think also very true. But it was just, I don't know. There was something that was not something that I really enjoyed. So I ended up giving it 3 stars, which is also always my problem with rating books, because it's a really good book, but I didn't like it very much. Therefore, I'm giving it 3 stars. So that my, rating is obviously very, not very like, it's not, it's very subjective. But I thought, but like I said, I thought it was interesting, and sometimes I just wanted to go and shake people. Talk to each other! But then again, I also remembered when I was 21, I was the most stupidest person, like Francis, who is the main character here. So yeah, I can also relate. But it's an interesting kind of talk. I mean, this book was published, I think, in 2017, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And there's an age gap romance here, which is definitely controversial. But she was 21, is 21, so not 18 or something. But yeah, there were bits of it that I really loved. It's very emotionally engaging, as you would expect by Irish literature. But it did not make me want to go and read Normal People, I think it's called, and then Intermezzo, which I know everybody's been reading. Tell me if it's different from this or similar, because I don't think Sally Rooney is necessarily my favorite author, which is a shame because I really like her as a character and her standing by people. Yeah, but it's done, and so these two are books from my shelves, so they count for my Read What You Own challenge, which is fantastic. All the other books, or like Moriarty, I don't own as a hard copy, and I don't own the Sherlock Holmes one. Well, I had already read it, so it wouldn't have count anyway. So that's good. So I have two more books for that, for the Read What You Own. And but then, yeah, those are the books that I finished, but I am in the middle of a few books as well. And so Crime and Punishment, I haven't started it back. To be honest with you, I'm just gonna have it here on my coffee table, and I'm sure eventually I will pick it back up, or it will take me months and months and months to read. That's fine. I think I did say that a couple of weeks ago that I'm not on a deadline with this book. It is the little part that I've read until the murder is phenomenal. Like, this is Michelin star book. So good, but it's just very heavy, and I will return to it eventually. But like I said, when I feel like it. And then another book that I have as a physical copy and that I'm reading is Enter Ghost. And I started this yesterday. Today is the 2nd of March, and this will be posted on the 3rd. I started it and I'm like 1/3 done. This is fantastic. I'll probably finish this today or tomorrow because, oh my God, it's so good. And I'm counting this towards my diversity book challenge because it takes place in Palestine, in the West Bank mostly, but also in Israel, like in Haifa, I think, yeah, and then in the West Bank as well. And it's just so good. And I've never read anything from that area. I've never read anything from this author. And obviously it was written in English. He is English. Like, I think the author is English, of Palestinian descent, but she has English citizenship. It is so good. Oh my God, it's so good. And then the other books, I'm reading 2 more audiobooks. So Crime and Punishment is also an audiobook. I started Audiomiles, which is an event that I'm doing in March, which is basically, I think I said last week, but in case you didn't see that, it's just about listening to this particular book while walking. And then you log your miles or kilometers, and when you're finished with the book, you can log how far did you walk while listening to this book. The book that I'm listening to for this is The Glass Hotel. And interestingly, this could also count for my diversity because it's Canadian, and I actually don't think I have ever read Canadian, anything Canadian. Or at least not that was obviously Canadian or took place in Canada. Not that I can remember. So that's interesting. But, so, you know, comes from North America, at least. It's a thriller, I think. And I'm not sure, actually, but I think it's a thriller. And I've gone for a walk. I went for a walk yesterday, and I listened to it for about 3.6 kilometers. And it's starting off well. And I was just like, oh my God, I can only listen to it when I'm walking, because when I was tired after my walk because I had a busy day yesterday, and I would have wanted to listen to the book for longer, which is a very good sign. So I really look forward to that, and I think I'm gonna try to maybe take walks almost every day, even if they're super short, just to kind of continue to listen to that book. But yeah, it's by Emily St. Mandel. I think last week I said Hillary, but her name is Emily, and definitely going like you know, the beginning looks good, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with that book. And then, because I don't have enough to read, like an insane person, and I have like huge books, Charles Dickens and Stephen King and whatever to read in March for my events, and all sorts of things to read. But then I decided just to start the fourth book in the Barchester Chronicles by Anthony Trollope, which is called Framley Parsonage, and which is also an audiobook. And as I expected, I'm already loving it. I just started listening to it yesterday before going to bed, so I've only listened to like a half an hour of it or something, but yeah, it's already starting off really well, as like I said, I'm not surprised. So I have 4 books on the go. Well, Crime and Punishment is kind of on the go, but not really. So I have my physical book, and then the two audiobooks that I'm going switching between. And I think when I finish this one, I will start one of my mammoths. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be The Stand, but we'll see when I actually get to choosing between The Stand and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Or I will just do as Nikki is doing and just read both of them, because we are both insane and, you know, like to read. Anyway, I think that's gonna be enough for today. Yeah, that's what I've been reading and what I've read and thinking to continue to read. And actually March, I have to show you a picture, because last week I was raving about how I hate March. And then 1st of March came around, and this is what happened. Beautiful! I think we still also today have, it's Monday morning, so I haven't been outside yet, but yeah. Sunny. Beautiful, sunny, snowy winter in March is just lovely. So March heard me, and he was like, okay, woman, don't you dare be talking, shit about me. Let me show you how fantastic March can be. And so I'm very happy and grateful to Mr. March for doing that. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. Let me know what you're reading in the comments as usual, and see you in the next one. Bye.